Speaking to BBC News, the former ambassador to the US said Russia should be held accountable for the deadly chemical attack that killed at least 60 people and injured more than 1,000 others on Saturday, as it was the Russians who had responsibility for the rogue regime's chemical weapons capability. Mr. Meyer added that a military strike in Syria by the UK and the US should be followed by a diplomatic international attack on Russia. He said, if it is discovered that the Syrian Air Force is still deploying these weapons, the Russians have to bear the responsibility for not ensuring that their client state is not using these weapons. So, if we were going to do an airstrike, sure, but at the same time, there needs to be a diplomatic defensive by the world community on Russia to hold its Syrian client to account. BBC Getty Syria News. Former UK ambassador to US calls on world to punish Russia over Syria chemical attack as President Donald Trump promised forceful action on Monday in response to the suspected Syrian poison gas attack. On Wednesday, breaking a self-imposed 48-hour silence to announce US response to the alleged attack, the US president wrote on Twitter, "Russia vows to shoot down any and all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they will be coming. Nice and new and smart. You shouldn't be partners with a gas-killing animal who kills his people and enjoys it. Our relationship with Russia is worse now than it has ever been, and that includes the Cold War. There is no reason for this. Russia needs us to help with their economy, something that would be very easy to do, and we need all nations to work together. Stop the arms race." The US was joined in their outcry against the chemical attack by the UK and France, which have agreed to work together and are believed to be preparing for a military strike in response to the alleged chemical attack at the weekend. There needs to be a diplomatic defensive by the world community on Russia to hold its client to account. Christopher Meyer. Prime Minister Theresa May is said to be ready to approve a British military response to the attack without seeking parliamentary approval, the BBC reported. Speaking to Channel 4 News earlier today, Mrs. May said, "The first stage is for us to be assessing with our partners and allies what has actually happened in Syria on the ground. Obviously what we've seen is a chemical weapons attack, an appalling chemical weapons attack. If this is the responsibility of the Assad regime, then it is another example of the irresponsibility and brazen disregard he shows for his people, and we believe that those responsible should be held to account." Mrs. May spoke to President Trump over the phone on Tuesday afternoon to discuss their joint response to the attack, a Downing Street spokesperson said. They agreed that reports of a chemical weapons attack in Syria were utterly reprehensible and, if confirmed, represented further evidence of the Assad regime's appalling cruelty against its own people and total disregard for its legal obligations not to use these weapons. A spokesperson for the president said, "Both leaders condemned Syrian President Assad's vicious disregard for human life. The president and prime minister agreed not to allow the use of chemical weapons to continue."